The slip stitch is a great way to sew a hidden seam, such as in the hem of a pair of pants, or to finish sewing closed a pillow after you have finished stuffing it through the little hole that you need to put that stuffing in. You'll see here on my example swatch, I've taken the time to iron my seams closed here. And that is going to help me, having that nice crease is going to help me sew a really nice straight line as I sew these two pieces of fabric together. So you'll see there I have the ironed over seams. I'm going to fold this together. So I want to sew my slip stitch along this edge so that this is going to turn into kind of a little, I don't know, we'll call this just a little tunnel loop in this example stitch work. I'm going to take a pin. Always helps to have your fabric pinned together the way you want it. And then here is my thread. I'm going to be doing this example in a contrast thread color to help you see or really not see the thread as I do the stitch. But of course, when you're doing a slip stitch, it's always better to choose a thread color that is the same color as your fabric, because the whole point here is for that thread to not be visible. So I'm going to start a little bit further down inside. I don't want any stitch work to come on the outside of my fabric. I'm just going to get my thread started up here. There we go. And now that that's attached, I'm going to fold my fabric together. And to do the slip stitch, first, I'm going to put my needle right down, right on top of the crease of that, we'll call this the side of the fabric, the side closer to me, and then this side will be the far side of the fabric. So on the near side of the fabric, I'm putting my needle right down on top of the crease, right where that ironed crease is. And I'm going to let it travel sort of like along a tunnel and then come back up again about 1/8 of an inch further down. And I'm going to pull that through. Next, I'm going to then go to the far side of the fabric up here, and I'm going to go straight across from where this thread came up. So it's coming up right here. And straight across, I'm going to catch just a few fibers, maybe 3 or 4 fibers. Enough, you don't want it to be just one fiber, because then you run the risk of ripping the fabric out, but you don't want it to be too many, because it's really just supposed to be enough just to catch that side and pull it in. So I'm going to catch a few fibers there. And then I'm going to pull it tight. And then on the near side of the fabric again, I'm going to put my needle down as close as possible to where it originally came out. Right on that crease. And I'm going to just rinse and repeat, do the same steps over and over. So now I'm going to travel along that little tunnel about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to pull my thread tight. There we go. And then I'm going to go to the far side of the fabric and just catch a few fibers like that and pull it tight. And there's my second slip stitch. I'll do one more. So I'll come to the near side of the fabric. I'm going to go down as close as possible to the spot where the last stitch went down. And then I'm going to travel 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to go across to the far side of the fabric, straight up. And I'm going to catch just a few little fibers. Pull it tight. And then I'm going to come back down like this. And I will keep going like that until I reach the end. So now I have finished stitching all the way to the end, and I've taken the pin out that was holding that in place. And I want to show you how I finish off my slip stitch, how I knot that so that it's as non-visible. You don't want your little threads at the end of your stitch work to show. So what I do, I'm going to just catch a little bit of fabric here at the very end, make that loop, and I'm going to pull my thread. I'm going to go through the loop like that, and then just pull that loop down into a little knot. Sometimes if it gets a little tangled on you, just put your needle through that loop and pull it back up a little bit to loosen it up. And that will often loosen it up, and then you can just keep pulling it down the way you want it to. Now that I've got a little knot there, now I don't want to just cut my threads right there, because that is going to make me have these visible threads that I don't want. The whole purpose of this is to have that invisible stitch work. So I'm going to put my needle back down into the seam, in the top of the seam, and I'm going to just travel backwards a little ways. The same way I kind of traveled along that little seam tunnel originally. And I'm going to go this time much longer than just 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to travel, you know, really almost a good half a needle's length down. So there we go. You can see a nice long stretch down there. And I'm going to pull my thread through. Make sure it's all the way through. And now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to pull the thread out just a little extra tight so that my fabric is almost even bunching up a little bit. And I'm going to cut right up against the fabric. And then what happens is as I unbunch that fabric, that thread pops right back in there, nice and invisible. Make sure, of course, when you're cutting right up against that fabric that you don't accidentally cut the fabric itself. So here I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can really get a good view of what that stitch work looks like. So you can see little bits, little specks of white of thread, and I did that just so you can really see where the stitches are. But think about what that's going to be like when it's the same color as the fabric. That is virtually invisible. And that is the slip stitch.